Hello, Sam Tober, Sound of Joy Music Services, and we're going to take a different approach to the number system as I've watched it used in gospel music. Now, the number system is generally counting from the particular scale you're in. If we're in the key of C, the root key would be always the start of the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then because it's an octave, it becomes 8 because we're going to an octave. But if we start again, it becomes 1. That's where the number system can become a bit confusing because you'll have some chords be called out as being a ninth or a 13th if you continue from there. It could be 1, but it's always looked at as 8, 11, 12, and whatever, and so forth, depending upon the length of your chords. So for this instance, we're going to use the lowest note as our starting point. And by lowest note, it would be our bass note, which is really how I feel the number system approach can be made. Whatever the lowest note in the bass note is, that's your 1. So if I change the key, it's still the 1. It's still the 1. And it will always stay the 1 wherever the lowest note is. Now, if that note changes down in the key of C down to the 7th note, now it's the 7th note. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I'm going to use this in my approach as to looking at the number system as it's been used in all the songs I've learned in gospel music. Now, the traditional gospel sound would use the 1, the 3, 6, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stay on the 5, 6, 7, and resolve back to the 1. Gospel music worked around the jazz tones. So once you apply the early, I'd say, gospel selections of songs to it, they all worked in that same concept. So if you brought in a musician into a session and he was unfamiliar with the song, they'd be calling out the numbers. We're in the 1, the 7, the 6, the 5, the 4, the 5, 6, 2, Mr. Note, 5, 1, 3, 4, 4 plus G, or the 5, 7, 7 plus, 6, 7, 6, 6 plus 7, and then back to the 1. That's why I say when I try to decipher the number system in my playing, it's hard because I won't follow a pattern. I will find where I want to go musically. So if I'm here and I want to get to the 6, I'll take the 3 path, 6, 5, 1, 4. I'm out of my range from this scale, but not from this scale. And back down to the 5, the 6, the 2, 5, 3, 4, 4 plus, or 4 sharp, G, 6, 6 plus, 7, and back to the 1. Now, for me to be having to thinking numbers, as I say, I'm big on on the scales, because that tells me what tones do I want to hear. The bass note, if I assume that's going to be my number guide, has to be able to coincide with what chords I want to use. As I said, from the 6, you can just drop down easy to the 7 to get to the 6. But what if I don't want to go? What if I want to go? That is that pattern or that path that I enjoy taking, because I'm not wanting to lock myself into, but that is the path I hear in my head. So I don't hear numbers, but I do hear chords. So in that same scenario, if I want a full chord like this, where's my 1? The lowest note. My 1 is still the lowest note, even though I've got this chord up here. I want to go to the 4. This chord, it's like what do they call this? An augmented chord. It's a good path to go to the 4. But what if I didn't want to go? What if I didn't want to take that path? Different path. But the number system in its concept stays the same. So whatever I'm doing on my right hand is guided by where I'm going to wind up on my left hand, which is in a sense doing the numbers 1, 4. If I want to go down from here, now, contrary to popular belief, that should go down to the 2, but I want to go here. Oh, here. There we go. Which can be considered a jazz chord. So to use the number system to help decipher a gospel song gets you might say to the ballpark. You know what key you're going to be in. You know where you're generally going to be walking bass wise to maneuver yourself around the chords, and then the chords and the melodies tell the whole story of the song. Can that work with a hymn? If we were going to do I Surrender All, there's your 1, your 7, your 6, your 2, 5, 5, 1, using the bass as your guide to the numbers. I'll look at it as what tones can I hear in there. Ah, there it is. I'll go outside of the number system from the original key. Nice jazz tone. So can the number system be your only path to learning a song? As I say, it gets you into the right ballpark, the number system. But once you get into the ballpark, you want to find not one seat, but several seats. If we were to take and I'm going to try not to infringe on the copyright of another song, let's look at, when I keep in the key of C, okay, I'll keep my Chord app in the key of C. And I'll touch on this. A flat. The song Stand by Donnie McClurkin. 1, 4, 2, 5, 5.5. So That would be a bass player's range. But if you're learning this from a piano, to tell someone on your bass hand you're going to play the one, the three, the four, the two, five, five plus, I would find that kind of difficult from my standpoint, having never really learned to decipher a song by a number system. I'm always, what is the right hand doing? Then add your bass. Probably a bad one to use. Let's infringe on another copyright and go to total praise. 1, 6, 2, or 7, right? In 2, 3, 3, 6. For those who want to put that plus in there, no. Six, 2. And so it becomes tricky because sometimes the person who is what's the word I want to use, who are just transcribing the song in their head will always default to what's common. That's always common in gospel. But if you play classical, that's a change you might always hear in classical settings. So when I learn music, especially from an album, I want to hear what did the original writer or the composer put in there before I start to find my own path. So, and for the most part, as a young musician, I didn't have a nice person to guide me to say, oh, this is the key this song is in. Here's the chords that will help you bring out this song. My guide was my ear and those musicians who were playing it as they had recorded it. So back to C. As I hear notes, I know that's my root or the one system. For those who want to go 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, that can get confusing. 1, 8, 6, 32. 1, 8, 8 more. Doesn't sound right. However many notes it is. They break it into ranges: C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, C6 if you have an 88 key keyboard. That's how the computers break it out. Oh, there it is. C1 to C. This being middle C. They call it C4 in their range. So when you're looking at my Chordy app and you see the chords, I can tell you if you're going to play this chord, start in C1, a G, and C2, C1, and C3 is your bass hand. That sounds kind of confusing to give someone numbers to search for a chord versus the letter C, G, C, D, G, C, E. Here are the chords that are being played by omitting them from all the notes that are around. And if you know you're gonna wind up in the 6 or the A, or I should say in the A, but in the F, count up to 3. Now that tone is not an F; it's an actual pentatonic scale, but it fits because it's common used in jazz voicing. So if you listen to a lot of jazz songs, you will hear that's a common phrasing. But now when you get to gospel, which borrows a lot of chords from jazz, because the musicians were learned listeners of everything they absorbed, and they just took bits and pieces of it, you use the number system to help you get to a chord or a phrasing quicker than looking at sheet music or sitting in a lot of rehearsals or doing a lot of practice. The number system kind of comes out of play when you're doing a lot of intricate movement. Which is the one question I always had. If you're telling someone to do a number from the number system, how do they know what chord to assign with it? Are you going to assign that chord, this chord, this chord? Which chord are you going to assign to the one? That, I think, is why you have rehearsals. I would practice just finding the scale you want to be in and how many chords can you find within that range of notes. And whatever one fits what the narrative of the melody or patterns you want to run, that is the one you use. That's familiar to you? Using all the notes found in this range. And the more you begin to expand on those notes, the more color tones you can find. All right. My first attempt at using a number system in gospel music. Let me know what you think. And should I continue? Again, I've only played in the key of C, went outside of it a couple of times, but there are so many avenues of this concept that I'm yet still learning from other sites teaching the original jazz voicing so that I could understand and be able to speak and give a different decipher of the number system. Again, do I use it extensively? No. I'm still the old school of where's the scale? Which scale are they using? And how are they maneuvering chords around that concept? So many different versions of scales that I hear as I practice them and I hear them in the music. That's how I decipher music. All right, didn't take formal music lessons, so that one still catches me unless I don't think about it. I make sure both hands can articulate what the other hand is doing. So one hand can do this. So they can work together. That's for another lesson. Thanks for watching. Sam Toper, Sound of Joy Music Services, using a number system in gospel music. Take care.